This is Joey, your veiled cottage witch, and I'm here today because it's been so long. I miss you guys. I miss talking to you. It's generally pretty cold out here in the cottage, but I'm getting full electric put in, and all the issues with heating this place in the morning will be taken care of. So today I wanted to talk to you about deity work and specifically daily practice. Now, everybody's deity work and daily practice will look differently, right? I don't ever want to put out a video saying this is how you do it. This is how I do it. And hopefully I can give you guys some ideas on how to start your own daily practice and working with deities. A lot of my students come to me and I'm like, I'm lost. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. And my answer is always daily practice. Now, to some people, this is going to sound like a chore. I am not meaning it to sound like a chore. But it is something that you commit to. It's not a sometimes thing. It's not a when you feel like it thing. I make sure, even if I don't physically sit down in front of my altar and commune with my deities, that I'm at least leaving offerings. So on the days that I don't feel good or that it's super cold out, I will sneak in here and leave my offerings and say, see you when it's warmer, and come back. So why do a daily practice? Well, essentially, you want to build right relationship, be that with your deities, with the land, with your ancestors, with your magic. Right relationship is allowing yourself to be guided. A lot of the times we resist that guidance because of ego or because we don't want to face it. But I've actually learned a lot about my ancestors, my deities, the land, and my magic through my daily practice. So, I have some tea here. It's delicious. Now, my daily practice started about a year ago, and I began to really go to my altar every day. I'm like, I'm gonna go to my altar, I'm gonna light my candles. I found some invocations and prayers that I'd like to memorize. And I've been doing that for over a year now. And my right relationship has really improved. I've gotten to personally, as much as I can, know my deities. And that's so important if you want to work with them in your magic. So my payoff has been, I now have someone, same thing, to talk to. One of my deities is Bridget, and I talk to Bridget about illnesses that I have, things that need healing. She hears a lot about my aches and pains. I like to talk to her about also being inspired. She's a very fiery goddess. She will spark anything. So I feel like I have a good relationship with her. With Krenenos, He's more like the strong silent type. So I I can't necessarily have a conversation with him, but I can ask him, you know, hey, please protect me, because he's my strong protective deity. So he's usually the one that I call upon on my daily practice for protection. And then I have another deity I work with, the Morrigan. And the Morrigan is actually a spectrum of deities, but mainly I work with just a few aspects, just 3 to 4 aspects of her. Right now I am working with her in her Queen of Sovereignty aspect. So I'm learning a lot about my own sovereignty through her. And I think that has made my boundary setting even stronger. I know how to say no now. I've learned a lot. So that's the why. So let's go to what mine looks like. My daily practice looks like, first and foremost, I give offerings. Now, these offerings can be coffee, tea, water even. Just water is great. As you get to know your deities, they will let you know what they like and how much and how often. For instance, my offerings to Bridget are twice a week, but my offerings to the Morrigan and Kronos are every day. Every day, which is fine. I also do everyday offerings for my ancestors. If you can see right up there, that's my grandpa, and that's his candle, and that's his coffee. So I start out with offerings, and then I move into doing a smoke cleanse of the cottage and of myself. I usually make my own sticks. This one is mugwort, which is really good for psychic cleansing. I will do that around the cottage, counterclockwise, swirling into the middle. And I will also take the herb bundle counterclockwise around my body, being careful to not start myself on fire. Hasn't happened yet. Let's hope that doesn't ever happen. Once that smoke cleanse is done, I stand in front of my altar and say a centering prayer. Now, I got this centering prayer from the Book of Pagan Prayer by Cesar Sereth. And this book has prayers for everything, but I like to say a centering prayer before I start doing anything, because it gets me to the here and now. So I'm trying to find this real quick. I probably should have got this ready. Aha, here it is. I'm just going to read this to you. This is what I say first thing after I light my candles, my incense, and everything is going. Before I say any prayers to any deities or ancestors or energies, after my smoke cleanse, this is what I say. I place myself in the center of the world, where pillar and cauldron are joined, overflowing, continually pouring over, and sending waves of existence out into the world. Before I perform my acts of worship, I take you into myself, that what I do might be equally productive, and out of me might flow wonders. I love it. It's simple. It was easy to memorize. It didn't take long. But, you know, reading it is you know, it's the more you read it, the quicker you'll memorize it. Memorizing it gives you full control to do lighting of incense, or lighting of an extra candle, or to allow you to do hand gestures. There are some hand gestures that I use in my prayers and invocations. So after I say my centering prayer, I then do my personal callings / prayers for each of my deities. I'm not sharing that here because that is very private, but you can find invocations and prayers to your deities if you search. Now, the Book of Pagan Prayer that I was just using has a lot of prayers in there that you can take and mix around, change the words, make them your own. Some people don't like to use the name prayer because it's been Christianized and we're kind of resistant to that as pagans. Think of these as incantations. Think of them as chants. Maybe even say that prayer as a chant for a certain many times, if whatever sacred number that you intend that day. After I say my invocations, that is my time to sit down and contemplate what I'd like to work on that day. That can look like watching a YouTube video. I will sit, we are right in front of my altar. I will sit right here and I will prop put up YouTube on my phone and watch it and learn. Learning is great devotion. As a scholar, as a pagan scholar, or early in my reading career, I will even read out loud. Maybe it's a poem I'd like to read. Maybe it is a story from lore that I'd like to read. Maybe I use bibliomancy and just ask my deities for a number, and I count that many books from right to left, and I ask for another number, it's the page, and then I just ask to be guided where to stop, and that is what I read. That is what I focus on and contemplate throughout my day. Sometimes I do yoga, sometimes I do meditation, but I think my favorite activity to do is reading out loud. Now, a lot of you are going to say, oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. Well, yeah, but no. Right now, we're reading The Goddess and the Shaman by J.A. Kent, PhD. And I will begin reading, and then if I want to particularly concentrate on understanding the message of whatever passage I'm reading, I will ask a question out loud, and I will receive an answer. It is all about connecting, right? And so part of connecting is listening. If you ask a question like, was that referring to this? Wait for an answer. Do I understand that as this? Wait for an answer. Now, if that method doesn't work for you, pendulum work in front of your altar is where it's at. I have learned so much from my pendulum on learning what offerings to provide. I've learned if what I'm reading is something I need to pay attention to, or if it's something I need to write off. So I learn a lot right here in front of my altar. Now, I want to read this amazing passage that I found yesterday during my daily practice. And I would love to share that with you. It says, I now know that the path to truth is everywhere, but the starting point of the journey is within oneself. I really love that quote. I might get it tattooed. It has to start with you. You know, you have to dedicate time. If you want right relationship, if you want to be able to ask your deities for something later on down the road, start building that relationship now. I get so many questions. How do I start building a relationship with deity? The easiest way to build a relationship to deity is to show up. Sorry, dogs next door. Just show up. If you have 5 minutes, if you have 30 minutes, show up. You know, if you smoke weed like me, maybe you share a bong with your deities and, you know, talk about what crazy thoughts pop into your head. Nothing is actually wrong. You can't do anything wrong. This is your practice. This is your practice. So that's my personal practice, but maybe your personal practice is to the land or to plant spirits or to your magic. Then you're going to go, as your daily practice, you're going to go commune with the nature spirits. You're going to commune with your plant spirits. You're going to actually do magic. Not just read about it and, you know, jot notes down about it, but never do it. This is your time. This is your time to do it. Kick your own ass. I kick my own ass all the time. So just do it. You know, it's so beneficial. It's so beneficial. You know, you don't have to work with deities. You can get to know your ancestors. You can get to know your ancestors of place. I have learned so much. In fact, I'll get another book out that I'm going to recommend. Learning lore. Learning lore connects you directly to deity. Learning lore of folk magic puts you directly connected to your practice. So this is something I think every witch needs to do. If you want to get really successful with your spell work and your ritual work and your magic, this is how you put in the time. This is how it's done. So I have done, like I said, reading out loud, learning from YouTube, meditation. I've done yoga. I've just talked about my day. I do divination. Like I said, I read out loud. I learn something new. I will go up to YouTube and I will look up lectures about astral projection because that's something I'm very interested in right now. And I'll get several authors or several YouTubers to back that up, and then I can start incorporating that into my practice. So you're not just building a right relationship with your deities, you're building right relationship with your practice, if that makes sense. You can even do bibliomancy and just open a book and read that passage. So eventually, once you show up, once you find the time, because everybody has time, it's finding the time. It's carving out that time and saying, this is my daily practice time. I used to be a two-person daily practice, or a two-person, twice a day daily practice person. That was a hard sentence. Now, I think I'm at the point where I listen to my body, and if I want to do two, I do two. If I want to do one, I just do one. A great way to start is, if you want to do it both day and night, a great way to start is doing maybe a protection or a shielding focus or meditation during the day, and then a grounding and clearing of the energy at night. That, you can't go wrong there, because you're protecting yourself and then you're cleansing yourself. And if you keep doing that, it'll be like second nature for you. So this carves out that time. Now, the payoff. The payoff is your magic will be more effective. Will be. Not might not be. Not could be. Will be. You can begin to, once you've developed a good relationship, and you'll know when you can just talk to them, maybe you have nicknames, if you get to that relationship where maybe you light a candle and you talk to that candle, and maybe that candle kind of gives a little wave and says, oh, I hear you. All good. So you get communication, and then you also get power, like a boost, a magical boost to your spell work. For example, you can ask your deities for a boon. Maybe you want protection while traveling. Say, I would like this. What can I do to receive this? It could be, I need a crystal, or your deities or ancestors could ask you for extra offerings, maybe a special treat. I know Grandpa loves black licorice, so if I asked him for something, I better bring some black licorice to be given as an offering. Maybe they want you to do something for them. Maybe it's donate to charity, anything, a promise of something that you will do. Now, warning, if you ask for a boon and you don't do the thing that you promised you would do, or you don't leave the offering that you promised to leave, don't expect to still receive that boon, because that's not how it works. Your friend is doing a favor for you, and the least you could do is return that favor, if you know what I mean. Understand that the deities are really aspects of yourself, right? And we're tapping into that. So if you do not show proper care to your deities, what that means is you're not showing proper care to yourself. Let that sink in. Yeah. So, like I said, I've learned a lot I've been showing up. I've had a lot of time with my deities to get to know them. So another offering I want to talk about that's really kind of cool, and I want to show you how to do it, is these are how I make my deity devotional candles. Now, I have some up that are already going really strong, but I thought I would show you guys how to do a candle, a deity devotional candle. Say that 5 times fast. So the first thing that you do is get your candle. I like to read a lot of correspondence books. You know, big book of course, Llewellyn's big book of correspondences, big fat boy, somewhere up there. Find out what your deity, what color candle your deity responds to. Blue for me is really, really healing. So I want to really make sure that that color works good for her. And it matches your intention. Kronos is a god of the earth, so he always gets green. Now, Bridget is a fire goddess, so I could also use red, but blue calms me down a little bit. But yes, so you're just gonna take, you can even do this with incense, and light your bundle, light your incense, and then just cleanse. So you can also cleanse whatever you're using to carve. I'm using an X-Acto knife, and I'm just cleansing that. You might also want to cleanse the candle holder you're using. All mine are being used right now, so we're just going it alone. So now that you have your candle cleansed, you have an option of drawing a symbol, a sigil. I like to use combination oghams because I'm studying the Celtic tree ogham, and it corresponds with all my Celtic deities, and it just works for me. Or you might just, for instance, if you have a prosperity god, maybe just a simple money sign, or maybe you work with Norse gods, you would probably use runes and maybe do a bind rune and specifically dedicate it to them. So what I'm going to do is draw the combination ogham stave for Bridget. And it's Rowan, Heather, and Vine. You can't really see, but I have them carved in there. Maybe you could see. Yeah, I have them carved in there. Now, what I do, I could put this on my candle holder just like this, but we all know I'm extra. So I have a lovely oil I made for her. So I'm going to take some of that oil and put it right on the sigil, just on the sigil. And I like to get it into all the grooves. All the grooves. And then I'll take a little bit of powder and usually over my cauldron there. Sprinkling the powder right on top of the oil. Now, sometimes it works really well, and you can actually use glitter if you want an even better result, but I don't use glitter in my witchcraft. But if I did, or a fine powder, you could even just pack it in there and it'll show that really cool sigil through that powder, and it won't leak. The oil won't drip. Using just a little bit, if you put oil on the whole candle, it's not going to sit in your candle holder very well. Sorry, words are hard. I have a migraine. So I usually keep the bottom half of the candle pretty dry because I want that to fit nicely in my candle holder, if that makes sense. So this is just a little quick way to show you kind of how I set up my daily practice. Look up, read, research. I can't tell you how great it's been to read out loud. Over the past year, I've read some really boring books, especially when getting to know Kronos, because there are not a whole lot of books put out on the Horned God. So I've had to really go back to more older texts, and those are really hard to read. So have patience with yourself because it's not going to not everything is just going to click your first week of doing daily devotionals. I think I've been doing daily practice for over a year now, and I just feel like I'm just now at the point where I can ask for a boon if I want. But it's really, aside from deity practice, aside from working with deities, set an intention on what you'd like to work on for the new moon or the upcoming full moon. And maybe you sit in front of your altar and maybe you write these things down. Maybe you say things like this out loud. Sitting in sacred space, working on magic, it makes it so much more powerful, So I encourage you to find your own daily practice, find your own way of connecting, whether that's out in nature, whether that is in front of your altar, or maybe that is just quiet contemplation with a cup of coffee in the morning. Nothing else going on. Maybe just instead of watching the news or watching TV, maybe learn something new. Maybe try a meditation that you've never tried. Maybe start reading the book that you've been wanting to read and haven't had the time. This is your time. Take it and enjoy it. Live in that space for a little bit. It's addictive. I think at one day I was having so much fun that I was out here for 3 or 4 hours in front of the altar, learning, listening to lectures online, or really getting into a book, or really getting into a pendulum reading, and just enjoying that sacred time, not just with your deities, but with yourself. So I hope this video was helpful. Please leave any suggestions on how I could come up with more video ideas. I have a lot of ideas that I want to do, and it's just about doing it, making sure that they are done. So hopefully I'll be feeling better enough to be putting out more videos for you guys. I know I owe a video about tools to someone. I can't wait for that one. And I'm going to talk about some awesome book series and some book recommendations soon. So for now, blessed be, have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day, and take care.